Hey, good morning, guys. My name's Dr. Rob, the addiction doctor, along with Kristen Nolan, my better half, so to say, on the radio. Great to see you today, guys. This is Breaking Through Addiction. Yes, it's Friday. Can you believe it's Friday again already? It's unbelievable, Chris. Friday.
Yeah, it went by fast.
Going down really fast, guys. I hope you're having a great week so far. Today, we have an amazing guest today. I got to tell you about Bob Bowers. As you know, we have Courtney. Thank you, Courtney, for doing everything you do. She scales the internet. Apart from all the fancy stuff that we do and the Rogan and all that stuff we do, we search the internet for guys that she thinks that we will love, and they're very few and far between. But it's amazing because we always have two guests on, and she said Bob Bowers is coming on. Of course, I'm ignorant. I didn't know who Bob Bowers was, and you need the full hour. And I'm like, but nothing. And when she says that, I know it's going to be good. So I obviously did my research on Bob, and wow, what an amazing guy. I'm going to be talking about AIDS. We're going to be talking about trauma and stuff like that. So it's a little bit of a twist today, but it is a success story. The only thing I don't like about Bob, and I'm going to warn you now, because this is a downer for everybody, is I'm not sure how old he is, but he has a physique to die for. That's the only thing I don't like about him. He's like, guy's shot there with his topper from like, you pig.
You don't like it, I like it.
So I make sure I got a sweatshirt on tomorrow, but I got the biceps going there, Bob. You see them biceps? They're all going there. So how's your week been, Chris?
It's been good. It's been good. I've been able to be of service for my grandma who has been struggling, and it's a challenge, but it's rewarding.
Excellent. Well, it's a sunny day today in San Antonio, guys. I take it is in Houston. It's going into fall right now, or winter. So it might get down. Oh God, it might even get down to 70 degrees today. I'm not sure, but it might get down. So sorry for you guys living in Manchester that are listening. I'm sorry for you guys, where it's raining and horrible, but it's Texas weather, man. I remember I first came to Texas. Somebody told me that it can get up to 105. And he said, I bet you've never seen that in Britain. I said, yeah, it gets to 105 in places in Britain. He said, what places? I said, the oven. There's no way to get 105. And all of a sudden it was. And it was like sweltering like crazy. But there you got to do. I love the warm weather. I'm going home Christmas, guys. Those guys are listening in the UK. I'll be back in Christmas 21st to the 30th. I'll be back seeing all my family down there, seeing my daughter. And most of you know it's Charlie, who's my leader over in Manchester. She runs the Manchester office. Such an amazing person. And I obviously see my granddaughter Alice, along with my sister and my dad. So great trip home. Got it all booked. We'll be on the plane the 21st. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. All right, guys. Once again, thank you for joining us. Quick commercial break. As soon as we're back, we've got Bob Bowers with us, guys. Stick around. Welcome back, guys. My name's Dr. Rob, the addiction doctor, and along with my co-host, Kristen Nolan. Glad you're here. This is Breaking Through Addiction, guys. As you know, every Friday at noon Central Time, live on Facebook, then live on our Facebook podcast page, and then jumping up to a bunch of guys and platforms tonight. So, Bob, how you doing?
I'm great, Dr. Rob. How are you?
I'm doing amazing, man. I'm doing even better now you're on the show, because when I saw some of the stuff you do and just how you live life, man. I mean, I don't know. It's crazy. I was really interested because you live life to the full, you all seem to be happy, helping others. And for me, that's the key to life. Same for you?
Yeah. Amen. Laughter is the best medicine. It's got me through the saying carpe diem that's tattooed on my skin. I don't do it perfectly, but I get up and I love life no matter what it's thrown at me, and love it and deal with it to the best of my ability each day. So
I think a lot for me anyway, and I'll jump to a question after this is, my homelessness and my loss of children and cars and house and all that stuff that goes with it, me being a chronic alcoholic. When you come back from something like that, or diagnosed as going to die, or which I had on a few occasions, and I see that through, it kind of gives me a new outlook upon life. Like you know, when I sometimes I get complacent, but when I get up out of a bed that's dry, first of all, next to my wife who jumps up with me and makes me breakfast, I pet my 3 English bulldogs and I pet my 2 cats and I walk into the kitchen and look outside. I see the pool, the trees and everything like that. And I thought, how the hell can I be happy? Talk to me about that, Bob. Tell me your feelings on that.
On waking up each day.
I'm being happy every single day. What makes you happy every day?
I'm not happy every single day. I'll preface that. I'd like to meet the person that is, but it's the attitude. It's the desire to change my attitude. It's a constant. Otherwise, I get consumed with it like anybody else, and I'm not going to run away from it with drugs, and I can't, and so just the simple things. I've had all that. I've lost homes, I've lost cars, I've lost wives, dogs, and it's beyond difficult. But the bottom line, there's not too many options. Deal with it or don't, and not dealing with it is not going to be a good thing. And I've buried my head and been guilty of that too. But each day I truly try to find just the simple things. Waking up in the morning and playing ball with Duke, my service dog, and watching him smile, and he's got more energy than me, and if I feel like crud, even do 30 push-ups instead of saying, well, I couldn't make it to the gym today, and that makes me feel a little better, and treat myself. I love my coffee. I love my friends, and so yeah, it's just finding any way to change that mindset of negativity and despair by just again, I'd say just the simple things. Taking a motorcycle ride is a beautiful thing. Wind therapy, I call it. Just those things really bring me joy, and I'm at a point now where I don't have to work myself to death, or I'm not as sick and going to 7 doctors meetings a week and having that depress me alone. And so I have more time to focus on those simple things.
That's beautiful. So Bob, I wanted to talk about maybe your upbringing and your early traumas. What led you to, make the choices that ultimately, you kind of wish you wouldn't have made?
Led to my infection that fateful night. Without too much, I as I mentioned to Courtney during our little talk, that trauma is my middle name, and HIV just happens to be one of the traumas in my life. That diagnosis was beyond traumatic. Just being, example, just having 3 sisters and no brothers, and having a stepdad. Not at 5 years old, I was smart enough to realize, I had a stepdad. Never knew who my real dad was. We were Jewish, but we couldn't mention that because, the stigma around being Jewish back in the 60s. And so all of those things instilled fear, instilled despair at times. I grew up in poverty. I put myself into foster care at 10 years old after mom died, and I didn't want to live with my alcoholic stepdad. It was not a good experience. I don't hate him, God rest his soul, but it was not a healthy environment. Thankfully, I had others who stood up for me. For example, in this case, it was an older woman, Betty, that lived in our housing complex, and she said, Bobby, if you ever have any trouble, because she knew that alcoholism was going to, me being the only one left in the home after mom died. If you ever you're in trouble, come to me. And I ran straight out of her house, or my house, and went to her and said, call the police. I can't be in this violent environment. And we did put myself into foster care. I went into another foster home. So without rambling on, I mean, just those things alone, you can imagine not having any attachment of your own, not having parents of your own, trying to fit in school, being, the way I looked, being a not obese, but, a chubby kid. I was called stocky. So that's kind of what motivated me, Dr. Ross.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. I meet a lot of guys.
Using
I meet a
trauma
lot of guys. Yeah, I meet a lot of guys that do that.
Yeah, to motivate you, right? And that's not uncommon. Guys that were picked on, suddenly become world-class bodybuilders or athletes or whatever. But yeah, no, we can get into, and feel free to ask about any of those. I just don't want to give you a laundry list.
Yeah.
Here's here's all my scars in life. But yeah, no, it started long before HIV, and then down the road we can discuss how even that night that I was infected, how all of those things factored in right then
Excellent.
and there.
I love that. I was that overweight kid at school that got bullied. I always got bullied. I was always last to be picked on the football team, so I did that. I was a semi-professional bodybuilder in the UK, won Mr. UK and stuff like that. And what I found, and I want to ask you this question, Bob, what I found is being that bullied kid, and I was taking steroids and everything, and I become this huge monster. When people used to see me or I'd hear a conversation, they would go, "Oh shit, Rob Kelly's there. Oh my God, he's not going to beat me up, is it? Oh my." And then people were scared of me. But inside, Bob, I was still that overweight kid and I've got this huge physique. Did you find that as well? Did that give you confidence or fear?
Both, just like you said, moments of confidence, and confidence, not that I was any better than, just being confident about my body. Back to, grade school and high school, I said I was the only kid at the swimming pool with breasts, And that, it really crossed my arms, for now they're actually pecs. Well, I'm 58, but so I totally understand that. And again, it wasn't like, well, I've been bullied, so I'm going to race out and do drugs and make lesser choices in life. But so again, any deterrent or obstacle, I've tried my best to overcome in a positive way. If you say I can't do it, watch this, I'm going to do it. If you call me fat, I'll get, fit, kind of thing. But I really did it. For me, it was the bodybuilding came in, is something I'd always wanted to do. And that's what brought me out to Los Angeles in 83. But yeah, no, when I owned, I went on to, run a gym and train people. I still felt inadequate. I still felt bad. If there was a trainer that had a better six pack than mine, well, geez, even talking just body types, endomorphs and mesomorphs. So, if I thought the mesomorphic body was, ideal, I'm not even that type or whatever. And I still would beat myself up over that. So, and then, like you said, the steroids entered my life, around the late 90s, and like I was 265 pounds, Dr. Rob. I looked like somebody off a wrestling show, tatted up, and tattoos in those days were bad, so people were afraid of me. I rode Harleys and looked the part. Never ever felt adequate, so yeah, that stuff, like I said, that's what leads me to less than better choices. It leads me to, if I'm not as fit as you, I'm going to go binge eat, heck with drugs, and medicate that way. And yeah, so I've never felt, better than. I never did it for the wrong reasons. I did it to improve, my situation. But yeah, never had that like, well, I'm really proud of myself. That's rare. I mean, I am truly proud of myself that I'm alive and sitting here talking to you. But yeah, no, I can totally relate to that.
Bob,
Sorry, Chris, go on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was it your turn or my turn?
No, you. Sorry. Okay. I got excited. Well, I'm gonna say. Let me just pause. I'm in Boca Raton, Bob. About I go there every 4 weeks to see patients, and I'll go to Redcon Gym, and I'm training in there. I've just lost 55 pounds.
I saw that. Congratulations.
So I'm in the gym training, and Kai Green comes in. I didn't know Kai Green, and he stood beside me. And I'll tell you, at my best days of bodybuilding, at my heaviest, I looked like the slimmest person in the world next to this guy. Like I'm always proud of my arms and my legs. He had bigger arms than my legs. He was phenomenal. What a great guy. Yeah. Sorry, Chris, go on.
So one thing we kind of briefly talked about it before the show. I did share with you. You shared that you started IV using meth when you were 19, and I shared with you that I was the same age when I started using meth through IV. But what I didn't share is that I contracted hepatitis C. So I was cured in 2013 by the grace of God. Thank God, the state of Arizona helped me pay for that. But
the medical treatment for that helped you pay for the pills, the $1,000 a pill.
Well, actually, they didn't help. They covered the whole thing. It was interferon and ribavirin. But yeah, what I wanted to know. Go ahead, babe.
Yeah, no, I said just God bless that you were cured of it. That's a horrific virus there too. So
yeah, but I just wanted to share how we have a similar story in that I know how that feels. You know what I mean? But I wanted to know, were you always so open about your disease or your condition?
Yes, that's one thing from the get-go. I do love life and people, and so and having enough of my own inadequacies prior to HIV, I didn't want you to find out, and I wanted to be on my terms, but more so just to be face to face and honest, whether it was in the dating arena, whether it was a client I was training, whether it was somebody I was talking to. If you knew me, I didn't put it out for the wrong reason. Just hey, I have AIDS, just to brag about it, or get it self or sympathy or whatever. But if you're gonna know me, you're gonna know all of me. So I did that immediately with dating. I did it with family, and wasn't always met, with the best of, responses or receptions with it. But it was that important to me even then. I wasn't public in the sense of, going around speaking or, any media or that type of thing. But yeah, anybody that knew me knew I had it. And the beauty for me was 99.9% of the time, I was met with nothing but awe and love and support, and which also motivated me to get out and say, well, if people can love and support me, then they should be able to do anyone with HIV, and helping to reduce that stigma. But yeah, no, from the very get-go, yeah, I was told, my initial diagnosis, for example, it wasn't a diagnosis. There was no HIV test. And there was this thing called AIDS, the Kaposi's and whatnot at the time. But so my first diagnosis before even being HIV positive was a lymph node from my groin. They did check that, because I had swollen lymph nodes in my neck and groin. So they took that biopsy, and it came back. The words were reactive hyperplasia, as seen in patients with AIDS. And my mom died of breast cancer in probably just around a year. She survived with it. And granted, in the 70s, there wasn't really the treatment and stuff that we have these days. So again, I had cancer. The doctor said, you have lymphoma, Hodgkin's disease, or this thing called AIDS. And so yeah, I didn't know what I had, but I wanted help, and I knew being silent, and I was I wasn't even clean then from the meth. But I needed help. I needed support. I mean, I was gonna lose my freaking mind. I watched my friends dying all around me in LA, within a matter of days. And so, yeah, no, so there was other reasons for disclosing besides just, letting people know, what I'm living with. But I'm glad I did. I have no regrets. It's helped me I say I didn't get here alone. So everybody I told in some way or who's crossed my path in life has helped me to get to where I am today. So
that's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Guys, Bob Bowers on the show. We'll be right back after this commercial from Take 12 Radio. Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Dr. Rob Kelly, along with Kristen Nolan. Good to see you guys. This is Breaking Through Addiction. We're talking to Bob Bowers. Such an amazing story. Just to let you know out there, bobbowers.online. Jump on there and see what he's all about. You will be impressed, believe me. Bob, tell me how you contracted AIDS, and tell me, because that's a question just come in, and tell me your reaction when they told you.
Okay. Wow. Number one, I'll be the educator here. You don't contract AIDS. And no, I actually gave Courtney a little education the other day when we talked. That's what I do. I'm an educator. But you don't contract AIDS. You contract the virus, HIV. So I contracted HIV in 1983. It was before my 20th birthday. And it was a night with my girlfriend and another couple right on Sunset Boulevard in Highland. We rented a hotel room. I had just gotten in with friends snorting speed and coke on occasion, or often for that matter. But I had never, like I said, I was pretty good kid growing up, Copenhagen and beer, you know, so I've never seen a syringe, never used one, never had any desire to, and to be responsible high people. And I'm ready to do a line. And she said, no, the guy with us is going to put a needle in your arm. And I'm like, no, I was getting a smart kid. I wasn't stupid. You know, sticking a needle in your arm is not a good thing to do, no matter what the consequences of that. Again, just as I've told audiences for years, to students, it was peer pressure, it was the fear of rejection. I wanted to be as cool as the dude with the syringe, and so, you know, no one's going to say no, you know, on a Friday night party in LA. And she whispered sweet things in my ears about, you know, how good, you know, the intimacy was going to be, you know, injecting it instead, and that's all I needed to hear. I stuck my arm out. I couldn't do it myself. I literally closed my eyes, and the four of us shared that same syringe. And it's safe to say that all four of us had very high risk lifestyles, from drugs to sex work to whatever, you know, those of us in the equation, multiple partners. And so I know that I was infected that night. You know, blood to blood is the highest risk for transmission when you're talking about HIV. And as I had mentioned to Courtney, there's a potential that I could have, you know, contracted it through some of the sex partners I had prior, but within a matter of weeks, my transition was pretty quick. Seroconversion, I guess is the correct word. I started having the swollen glands under here and back here. And again, if I'm staying up for days on speed, I expect to be run down and have swollen glands, and didn't think anything of it. Night sweats, things like that. But if you're doing a lot of, you know, speed, again, you're sweating. At least I did. I'll speak for myself. And so I didn't think much of it. But yeah, it was as simply as just, you know, ignorance, not having the facts, peer pressure, you know, feeling less than a life in general. So something that would make me like the big man for the night, and, you know, and have, you know, wild, crazy sex with my girlfriend, and, you know, living the dream in LA, and boom, you know, that was as simple as that.
Yeah, I think all it takes is just one lapse of judgment,
Yeah.
and we're all human, and
Yeah.
we all, you know, especially in, like you said, high risk lifestyle choices, and, you know, with substance use disorder and all these things that we're
Yeah.
surrounding ourselves with. I mean, all it takes is just one little mistake, one little
Yeah.
lapse of judgment, and, you know,
Yeah.
I know because I had the Hep C. So,
Yeah. And I had no clue, as I love to remind people, I use my story and how I got infected to show how knowledge is power. And if I had the knowledge back then, I hope I might have been desperate for love and attention and drugs, but I would have made a smarter choice and said, no, I'll just snort mine because, you know, I don't want to contract HIV, or, you know, but that wasn't on the menu. You know, it was maybe OD, maybe, you know, and so mine ended up abscessing. And so that was even more embarrassing. I had to go down to County General and get it lanced. And that freaked me out and was traumatic, you know, beyond words. Yeah, that was a big night in my life. One I'll never forget. But again, nowadays the knowledge is out there, and people are still taking those crazy chances. And I don't judge anybody on that. I've never tried to shame or scare anybody, but just understand the consequences of the choice you make. If you share a needle, then there's high risk for hepatitis, for HIV. You don't share it, you know, that's harm reduction. You guys know that term, you know, and I hoped I would have used harm reduction in that case had I had, you know, the facts and the knowledge of how this thing was transmitted or otherwise.
Yeah. I always say, like, you were just talking about not knowing the facts. You didn't know the facts.
Yeah.
You didn't know about all that stuff back then, but I did. And
that's
I still
about
did
all we
it.
knew then. Yeah, we're still trying to figure out if it's Haitian drug users, if it's the mosquitoes in Florida that's causing it. I mean, it was that time. It was, and just so you know, lest we don't go over it again, how troubling and traumatic and frightening those days were. We didn't have HIV. We didn't have one medication. So I told you the initial reactive hyperplasia, that sent me into a whirlwind of depression and fear. I literally went home. They couldn't do the biopsy for 3 weeks, and went home and drank whiskey and took pills that my girlfriend had. I had never taken pills either, and essentially slept for 3 weeks rather than sitting and waiting in angst. um, get that. It was 1985. I went back to fever, fatigue, sweats, all that. The glands still swollen. And in early 1985, I don't remember the month. I think it was around May or something that year, but that's when the HIV test first came out. And so here I was contemplating, okay, do I want cancer or AIDS, like I mentioned earlier? And a nurse or a doctor, a female doctor came in. This was County General in LA, and she said, will you sign here to, test for this virus? And I'm like, well, then that means I don't have cancer. And that was freaky enough. And I'm like, oh, here we go. But at least I wanted some answer, And so I'm 99.9% sure my initial HIV test came back, if you would, HTLV3.
Wow.
That was Dr. Robert Gallo's virus that he had in the beginning of this. It wasn't called HIV. Probably some of the history the band played on and whatnot, how it been settled on HIV. So all right. So either way, whether I had HTLV3 or HIV, that was freaky as heck at best. I think I was 21 by then when that happened. And had it not been for the gay community and my friends that had been dealing with it and that were open about it, I was dead. And they were telling me, well, you don't have the lesions and this and that, and there might be a little hope. So again, back to multiple hospital visits. My diagnosis after the positive test result in 85 and the symptoms I just explained to you and other diarrhea, things like that, came back as ARC. AIDS related complex. Again, another what the heck do I have? I'm like, now I'm stuck in, purgatory somewhere in between. Either just let me die. And wait, I got 5 more years to sit and sweat this out. And I'm telling you, 5 years. So I should have maybe lived to 25. My friends who were doctors and living with the virus themselves in the early days and putting their voices and knowledge out there for us, said, you might have 10 years before you develop, AIDS and died. So that would have made me 30 tops. And here I sit at 58. So it's been a huge learning curve and a lot of medical terms thrown in along the way. But yeah, no, those days, from how I got infected to how it was expressed to me was, awkward and frightening at best.
Yeah.
Especially the other thing, I don't brag about it, but being a heterosexual I actually lived in West Hollywood when all this went down. I mean, I saw Rock Hudson, standing on the sidewalk with his lesions and watching my gym partners drop dead around me. That were, 300 pounds of solid muscle. And then, a week later, they're 90 pounds. And I'm saying goodbye in the hospital kind of thing. But yeah, no, mine was, I didn't have that. And I was a heterosexual. I went for the first years, thank goodness for AIDS Project Los Angeles, one of the first AIDS service organizations in the country. I'm client number 86 there. I mean, the first 86 client they've ever served, and it's countless thousands by now. And I'm sitting in gay support groups going, I'd sure like to date a girl, but she wants to have kids. And if I tell her about the HIV, I never lied or anything, but I just wasn't dating. I wasn't having sex and they were the ones who taught me that, no, you can, and you might have 10 years. But they also couldn't relate, hetero sex and gay sex is different. And so I had to then, there was no heterosexuals. I didn't know one soul, and here my Harley buddies, they were accepting of me and but I was just, again, a lone wolf and trying to find my way. And so, my struggles were definitely different, but not different in the sense of, we're living with and dealing with the same virus. But yeah, being hetero made me even one more different, and then I even had doctors, believe it or not, oh, you're not hetero, you're gay, you took it up the butt, Bob. And I'm like, really? I'm just my doctors. I mean, prominent doctors in LA, they were stigmatizing their own patients, that didn't believe that you could be heterosexual and had HIV. So when, my outreach, just a long story short, was not to prove my heterosexuality or that I was any better. It was just, shame on anybody that will accept me, but you won't accept, a gay person living with it or whatever, different lifestyle or, so, there was a lot to buck over the years, and it was challenging. I welcomed that challenge in my, 30 years of outreach and speaking publicly about it, to break those stereotypes.
Awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
Let me take you back real quick, just touch on a bit of trauma for you. Talk to me about your mum dying when you was 10. Talk to me a couple of days before when it happened and a few days after. I know that's painful, but.
Thanks, Doc. Excruciating. My mom was my everything. And so I was in 4th grade, and we had moved from a town of 600 people to a town of like 7,000 roughly in Oregon, where she could be in a hospital and get treatment. And so leading up to that, it was stressful at best. Walking down the hill was, I don't know, a half a mile long, this very, steep hill street that led up to my school. Her hospital was right at the bottom of that hill. And so I would walk, speaking of prior, there and see her and give her hugs and smooches in her hospital bed and visit with her. And then I'd go home and just to avoid trauma and deal with trauma, I was mowing lawns in the housing community we lived in, for 25 cents a lawn or whatever it was in those days. And so this particular day, May 13th, 1973, I ran down the hill and ran all the way home. And I ran right past the hospital. I'm a very intuitive person. And I get home, and my 3 sisters and my stepdad are there, and was met with the fact your mom just passed away. So from that, all I remember, Dr. Rob, is not only just the silence in the home. How do you address that? How do you make good times out of a death? Here's what I did. I grabbed my lawnmower and grabbed a pack of Marlboros and smoked my first cigarette and hung out with some friends. I kind of checked out and kind of had, I'm clawing my way back to this day from that time. And the thing about the death, and I'm glad you talked about it, because it's my single biggest source of pain. I didn't get to know her. Don't remember conversations. A couple of them. She's the one that said, don't mention we're Jewish. We'll be treated differently. She told me about stories about the Holocaust. I'm 53% Northern European Jew, by the way. So she'd tell me stories about that, and that opened my eyes. That helped me, to learn that people kill over religion and things like that. But beyond that, and we were in poverty when she was alive, and on welfare and that sort of thing. And so to suddenly just my rock, my everything, to have that gone in my life, there was no guidance. My stepdad was checked out at best, and so I resorted to less than better decisions, inappropriate sexual stuff, to chewing Copenhagen, drinking beer, nothing, outrageous per se, nothing that other people weren't doing either. But I tried to numb out food. Yeah, I got fatter. So yeah, it's definitely one of the most painful things. But if I don't forget, I want to say now that it's my mom's death that, beyond all my friends I've lost to AIDS, it's my mom's death that motivates me. Because and I'm glad we talked about this already, my backstory and having, 5 to 10 years to live at best. Mom got maybe a year. She didn't get a second chance. Shame on me if I don't seize it today. Shame on me if I'm not laughing and smoking a cigar and doing something I love that she would have been more than happy to do. Shame on me. And so, in her honor, and turning that trauma into something that, I can show. People freak out when they lose a parent in their 30s and 40s, and it can destroy their lives. And try 10 years young. Try being on your own, not having an extended family. My sisters were already out of the home, and I was the last one left before I went into foster care. So, but again, that motivator, and it wasn't always, the best motivator, but as I got older and got into, especially out of training and into advocacy and activism work, yeah, no, shame on me, so I'm able to honor her. I'm able to honor my friends through this. And the other thing I wanted to say, I was thinking about this the other day, a funnier note. Our stepdad was an alcoholic, no judgment whatsoever. I know many of them that, weren't family, but he was definitely an alcoholic. And so I remember mom, I don't know if they'd been in a fight, something. I was cuddling with her on the couch, one of the good memories I have. And I knew that the alcohol was part of the problem. And I said to her, I said, Mom, I said, I will never have more than a 6-pack of beer in the refrigerator when I grow up, because I know the damage that can do. So the irony is I stick a needle in my heart at night. But to this day, I haven't had more than a 6-pack of beer in the fridge.
Oh, that's funny.
But an incredible hole that, I've tried to fill in some the best ways and, some of the worst ways. I miss her dearly. Thank you for talking about it.
Oh no, thank you for being so vulnerable. I think when we get guys on it, and sometimes girls, and we open up, and there's tears, usually from all of us. People start messages in, man, and you go, my God, this guy's so brave. Look what he's done. Because we become more real when we get to the subjects that we keep hiding away. And the more we talk about it, the more the trauma, will go away. If we keep pushing it down, then it's going to explode one day. So thank you for being so vulnerable.
Yeah,
so,
no, and just like with disclosing my HIV status, that's a part of me too. I used it for sympathy when I was young. Hey, my mom died, kind of thing. But it's important that how many kids I've spoke to that lost. Thank you for sharing that. I just lost mom last night, and it had nothing to do with HIV. So thank you.
It's amazing. Well, this show wouldn't be this show if I didn't ask the next question. So, guys, give us 1 second. Got the big question coming up that some of you are going to love this. Back in 2 seconds. Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Dr. Rob, the Addiction Doctor, along with Kristen Nolan. This is Breaking Through Addiction. I hope you're enjoying the interview so far. It's a great Friday afternoon. I hope your day is going amazing. It'll go even more amazing now when I come to the next question, because we've touched a bit of trauma. We've touched a bit of the abandonment with mom. Talk to me about Duke. Sir Duke. Tell me all about Sir Duke for those people who don't know.
Sir Duke is truly an angel. He's my service animal, a yellow lab. Duke. Pause up. Duke, pause up. He's sleeping. He's semi-retired too. Pause up. Pause up. Oh, there he is.
Oh my goodness. Oh my
is.
goodness. That is just absolutely amazing.
He's just a beautiful soul. A beautiful soul. Again, I used him rather than a drug to get well. I was homeless and in a really ugly situation in 2015, and had lost my last yellow lab, who was a companion dog, and Duke was given to me by my sister, who understood the loss of my last dog and the importance of dogs in my life. And I have been a dog person all my life. I've had a Rottweiler, a pit bull that were trained, in obedience and AKC, but had never considered a service dog. But in 2015, given the stress in my life and not having access to treatments that I needed and medications, my health was shoddy at best. And so I knew that if nothing else, I needed the emotional support. So when I got him, I was living on a friend's farm in Oregon, and I thought, great, I'll just have another companion dog. But as I started losing use of my arm and started losing use of my legs, I knew, hey, let's make him a service animal. So I called around, and the cheapest I could find was like $10,000 for somebody to do complex task training with him. And being on disability. And this is part of why I tell his stories to other people. Think, well, I can't afford a service dog, or, there's a waiting list for, 10 years for one, which there are for a lot of people. But I was smart. I did my homework. And I thought, worst case, he'll end up just a good companion dog. And because I was not going to violate any rules and mess it up for, the guide dog, for the blind. And, that's serious business. And so I did my homework and thought, okay, we can do this. And again, another challenge, a challenge on the budget. And so I took the CGC, stands for Canine Good Citizen, at 11 months. I'm sure you've heard of the American Kennel Club. They're, prominent, in the dog world. And so they have a thing called Canine Good Citizen title. It's the actual title that goes on their certificate. if they're registered. Duke's not full bred, but he still has that title. So anyway, I thought, let's try this. And you talk about stress again. It was going back to school for me. It was more training. Last thing you want a service dog is to be stressed, they say the energy travels down the leash. I mean, how that poor dog kept his wits about him during our training, I don't know, but he did. He got me through it. And by 11 months, he received his Canine Good Citizen title, which is essentially be like a public access test that they give service dogs to see if they don't just jump right out of the car in the parking lot, to make sure a cart doesn't scare him in the store. And I mean, he nailed that test, and they don't give that away. If you mess up, you start all over again and take it. So he got that title at 11 months. I was now finally getting back to having access to care and treatment. I was getting free dental work in Eugene, where I was living at the time. And so with a service dog, you're not supposed to be apart that much typically, and they're there to support you or whatever task you need. Duke, just so you know, is labeled as a mobility and medical alert. So he does everything from bring my chemotherapy every morning to me in a bag. He supports when I need to get up and down, from a seated position. He's woken me up from unconsciousness on multiple occasions. I didn't teach him that. He did, thank goodness, or we may not be having this talk today. Wow. And so the beauty of that was, in my worst times, again, I went from being a public figure for 30 years to sitting in a studio apartment in Oregon going, now what? So I overate. I'm not dating anybody. I was, done with the relationship thing for a while anyway. And so none of that helped me feel any better. I wasn't going to the gym. I couldn't. I had ulnar, and I still have an ulnar neuropathy. I couldn't even feed myself at the time. So Duke would, if I couldn't use my hand, he actually pays with his own wallet at the store. He can hand the clerk the wallet for me if my arm's not working. He opens elevator button doors. You can see all those training videos on the site. I mean, the first time I would show him something, close the door, bam, shut. The dog's brilliant. But beyond, so I am elated, and I encourage anybody to do the right thing that anyone can self-train as we did. But within the understanding, if he was a barker in public, which he's never barked in public, he's never lifted his leg in a hospital. I mean, he's gone to oncology where I'm letting huge bags of blood, doesn't budge, doesn't go look at the other person. But if he did, then he would never come with me. He'd been that companion dog. But so I say this so that others, I have a friend on Facebook who's getting a service animal, and there is an importance at any age, but especially my age. I knew that I'm going to start needing this guy if I can't walk and lift my arm, and I'm having fainting spells and that sort of thing. And so we've been together 6.5 years. I got him at 10 weeks, and he's just a beautiful soul. So those times when I was just binge eating and sleeping too much, or couldn't work out, or whether I wanted to or not, I had to get up 3 to 5 times a day and take him downstairs and go. I had to, take care of his medical needs. His became, bigger than mine. I was worried about him dying. And so it was 2020, January 2020. I was so sick, I couldn't even stand up out of the chair. So you think I'm fit now. I want you to have a little of the backstory. And I literally put one foot in front of the other, stood up out of the chair thinking, okay, this day I'm going to walk a half a block, like I would tell a client, hey, I can't run a mile, well, then walk half a block and see how that feels, So I stood up, pulled the muscle, I had to use my cane to go out with him. And, but continuing to put that foot in front of the other. Then he got, and I really was checking out in 2020, not emotionally, physically. My body was, I was eating wrong. I won't bore you with all the details. And had Duke not saved my life, I would not be here. If he didn't get me off the floor, it could have been a very different outcome. But his presence in that training, back to the beginning of our training, to just having to care for him and worry, allowed me to stay out from dying and or just getting horribly worse. And so he's out here now, and I said he's semi-retired, but what a beautiful process. I want to write a book about that bond without right and how important that is. So
that's amazing. Just a website at the bottom of the screen, guys, if you want to see Duke. Website's there. We've got one more question from Kristen, and then we're going to have to wrap up soon. I wish we had 10 hours, but over to you, Chris.
Okay, so I want to know about the foundation that you founded.
Oh, it's
Great question.
not founded now, but yeah, it was called HI Victorious. That's how you pronounce it. That was my nonprofit of, I think, 11 years roughly. I was always, Bob the Voice, and my nickname, One Tough Pirate. So if you see that on the website or anywhere else, that's another story. But so I spoke as Bob or the Pirate. The kids love the nickname, whatever. But I moved to Madison, Wisconsin in 2004 to further my advocacy and be better connected. By then I was dealing with, Capitol Hill and politicians, and, I was deep into it. And so I wouldn't have even done the nonprofit because I was doing fine just as an individual, but it just helped people take me more legitimately in that day that, I was an organization. I was a volunteer for my own thing. I never made a penny. I didn't take government grants or anything like that because I knew the complexities and the problems, drawbacks of doing that. So it was strictly just run on donations. I was a volunteer, founder and president. And but it really did open doors that I was able to sign policy and legislation that, I couldn't do as an individual. But it was also so I'd be more legitimate in the eyes of the schools that I wanted to get into. And youth rock my world. I miss it terribly, going into a ninth grade health class and just being raw and real like I am now, and so the name came from a newspaper article. It was the Wisconsin Journal, I believe, and a gal came and watched one of my talks, and she titled the article. It was front page and some other inside pages of what I do and pictures, and it was called HI Victorious. And just like, again, everything else on live, I thought it was brilliant. I asked her, can I use that for the nonprofit? And she's like, absolutely. And yeah, I'm not dead. I'm definitely victorious. But and then, so I was able to get into more schools. I was able to get donations better. That way you could write me $1,000 donation versus, doing that to an individual looks, different. And I was able to literally go around the country, sometimes on my Harley, sometimes by plane, whatever, and spread the word. And the thing that out of that I wanted to stress, the most rewarding, awe-inspiring thing that I've ever set in motion wasn't the organization per se, but the poster contest called What If It Were You? And I think that's something that you have your viewers and people in life in general, before you're quick to judge about somebody's addiction, somebody's trauma, somebody's, sero status, that what if it were you? It's easy to say, hey, we don't get them junkies clean needles, they're just going to continue doing it. And again, I asked, what if it were you, and your life depended on a clean needle, kind of thing. And I do have, if you want to just write it down for your viewers, we're on Instagram. That page is public, and it's called What If It Were You. If they want to check out, there's probably 50 of the posters on there. And those things were done in 2008. They were used on HBO. They've been used in college textbooks, all for no money. That's why I'm so proud. There wasn't any, name. The messages these kids did were not just I'll throw on a condom before I have sex kind of thing. It was I would teach the world to understand. I would fight back. I'll be a leader. I'll seize the day. That type of thing. You guys went away. So yeah,
it's just you.
Yeah, I'm very proud of the work I did with that, and it was time to end. I again wanted to retire, and it wasn't ever an organization I wanted to expand or have someone take over. It was just an extension of me. But I'm very proud and grateful for the work I was able to do under the nonprofit.
Thank you so much, Bob, for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you, heartfelt thanks, really.
What we do is at the end of every show, we kind of want to recognize you for a few things. Obviously, want to recognize you for being vulnerable. Such a great story, my man. Such a great story. But passionate activist, educator, just an amazing guy all around. You've probably helped hundreds of thousands of people with the knock-on effect and the ripple effect that we have. And I know your name is amazing out there. I've got some great feedback for a lot of people. And, sometimes I know myself being a public figure that, people don't always say thank you sincerely because they think, Bob already knows he's doing amazing, but we don't. So I want to say thank you, Bob. Thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for being brave enough to do what you do, because it's a lonely journey. Sometimes it's a lonely journey, man. And any other guy I know would have given up by now and gone away, and but you don't. You stand proud and you stand tall, and it's like no man left behind. You're just one of those guys, man, that I adore, I appreciate, and I just look up to, man. So thank you for so much being on the show, and I'll leave Chris to take you out.
Thank you, kind sir. Thank you.
I just wanted to say, like, because I'm a person of God, I believe in God, and I truly, with all my heart, like, you are a person that God, you are blessed and highly favored, and you are chosen by God. And I just want to say that you're doing what God wants you to do, and thank you so much. Really.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, guys. Listen, that's Bob Bowers. BobBowers.online is the website. Such a great guy. Check it out. We'll be back in 2 seconds just to finish the show off. Hey guys, welcome back. My name's Dr. Rob, the Addiction Doctor, along with Chris and Nolan. This is Breaking Through Addiction. If you've just been watching, and there's some large numbers been watching, by the way, that was emotional. It was inspirational. It was just, Duke is amazing. And Bob's just, I don't know, man. I got a feeling we're going to make this connection, me and him, when we further down the line. I think we're going to be friends for a long time, because he has my passion, and it takes a lot to do what he did. But that was amazing, Chris. Yeah?
I am so sorry for crying, everyone.
No, don't be sorry. It's amazing. I've often cried on this show, and all I get is people texting and calling and messaging saying amazing, because it is passionate, man. It's real life. We're not on here with a bunch of questions. Okay, Bob, well, listen, we're going to ask you 10 questions and get ready for the answer. I mean, there's nothing there. I mean, when people all the time, talk shows are calling Janet and going, okay, we're going to send some question over. And Janet says he doesn't want to. Oh, yeah, but we don't need him to stumble. He doesn't want them. Because if you're not talking from the heart, what the fuck are you doing? You're just drinking tea and bullshitting each other. That's the name of the game. So great show. Thank you for getting emotional. That's amazing. It means a lot more probably to Bob and definitely me. So, yeah, fantastic show. BobBowers.online. Go visit him, guys. I'm telling you, I need to meet this guy in person. We need to take a trip, Kristen. Me and you go and see this guy, because I tell you what, I don't often meet somebody that I look up to. I mean, I just don't, because I've been there, done it, seen everything. I mean, fuck, come on, give me a break, But this guy, I don't know, man. I get shivers when he starts talking about stuff. Woo! I feel hyped up for this.
I truly believe he's anointed by God, and those types of people, I mean, it's an honor to meet them.
Yes, it is. And you can tell a mile off, And people like Bob don't really get a thank you, because I know I don't. I was in the break. I was passing the break room one day, and I heard two of my assistants talking. One was a new one, and the new one says to the long-term one, "Did you see what Dr. Rob just did? That guy coming suicidal. When he finished with Dr. Rob, he went out, he was skipping, he was happy." And she said, "Yeah. Have you told him that?" And she went, "Oh, no. I mean, he already knows, but no. We don't know. We don't know, guys. This is a lonely journey sometimes." Everyone looks up and goes, "Oh, look at that guy. He's amazing." This takes strength. It takes power. It takes courage to do. It takes power and courage to do what we do every Friday, Chris. We ask them questions, and no matter what we're going through, because I know that you've been through a lot. I've been through, obviously, a lot over the last 12 months here. But I want to talk about that stuff. I want to inspire you. I want to ask the questions that are going to inspire you. And I have got nothing wrote down for my guests. They just come on, and what comes into my head is what get asked. And it's just amazing. So, guys, listen, every Friday at 12 Central Time, you'll see me and Kristen, such an amazing, beautiful woman. You look even prettier today than you've ever looked. I don't know what you're doing, but it's looking good. So, and my ugly face with you, unfortunately.
Oh, you are not. Stop
it. Such a great show, guys, every Friday. Don't forget. And if you got any questions for the guests, because I know I've already got 5 or 6 people messaging me about Bob. But if you've got any questions, know somebody or want to be on the show, you don't have to be a mega superstar. Just because Tom Cruise was on the show doesn't mean that you have to be at that level. We're looking for real people doing amazing work. So thank you for joining, guys. Thank you for being with us. We'll see you next week at the same time, at the same place. Bye for now, guys.
Bye, guys. Thank you.